Welcome to Fun with Squirrels. Okay, not fun with squirrels, but just hopefully this is something that might work as an activity if you're like me and my students. You're home right now trying to figure out how to run your labs or field experience with your college students in this time of coronavirus and safer at home policies. At Squirrel-Net, we have the giving up density module that uses these trays that have, they're 14-inch trays, 3 liters of sand. I'm just gonna move the iPad down so that we can see the trays. Unfortunately, you might not see me. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, that's so much better. All right, so we've got the trays, and then we're using unshelled or out of the shell, it might be easier to think of it that way, sunflower seeds. So there's 10 grams of seeds in this bag, there's 3 liters in here, and so the protocol calls for setting these out in a couple different habitats around campus or wherever, but I'm going to basically show you what that looks like. I'm not on campus, but when you deploy this, you wait for a day like this, you go out at about 9 in the morning, you pour the seed in there, you mix it up so that the seed is evenly distributed in the substrate. So this is just play sand that I got at any home improvement store. And then just right behind me here, I've got a bunch of Norway spruce and Colorado spruce trees that have rabbits and squirrels. So I can basically put this out in the yard. I can see a gray squirrel off there. I've got a red oak tree right here. And so what I would do, or what I will do, is I'll put one of these near the red oak tree, and then I'll put another one here, also with 10 grams of seed, about 10 feet away from that oak tree, and then I've got 2 different microhabitats. Now I have these trays, and if your instructor bought those trays, that would be the main protocol, but a lot of us now are just trying to figure things out. And so there's another way we can do this, the giving up density experiment, without having to have a lot of fancy equipment. This one requires, this is just a modified thing, but you can do the same thing. With the regular experiment, we would take this at the end, I'd sift it through a screen or some other device, and then I'd weigh the seeds on a digital scale or something like that. And then the grams of seeds left over, that would be my giving up density. This protocol doesn't require you to have digital scales, fancy 14-inch trays. It does require you to have 3 pie tins. These are like 9-inch standard pie tins. If you don't have those, you might want to eat some pie. You still need some play sand, so I'm just going to use some of the play sand out of here as a demonstration. And you still need some kind of bait. And so you can get out of the shell sunflower seeds at when you take your next grocery store visit. And I'll give you another fun modification you can do as well, using a combination of in the shell and out of the shell sunflower seeds that's tied in with handling time, okay, and search time. So the squirrels, are they preferring one over the other? So you could put 2 different kinds of food in one tray. So what I did with one of these pie tins is I basically made it a strainer, okay. I was going to use this fancy ice pick, but the holes were too big, so I just used a smaller nail. So you want to be able to sift the sand through here, but you want the bait or the food to stay behind so that you can count that, okay. And so the first thing that you're going to do is fill 2 of these trays with sand. And I won't do the whole thing, but if you just kind of press that in, you can just fill, get some play sand from wherever you can get it. It's actually pretty inexpensive at most home improvement stores. And then the more holes you have in here, the faster this will go. You're just gonna sift this out, and I would sift out the sand the first time you use it to get the bigger rocks and things out of that. Okay, and the way this is going now, just talking here, this will take me about 2 minutes or so to get all of that sand sifted out. Okay, so I pre-sifted this, so pretend you didn't see this, but you want to sift that all out, and then you've got your habitat, or you've got your tray of sand here. Now, instead of weighing out your seeds, you want to take some sunflower seeds and count out 100 unbroken seeds. So just find the best seeds in this, well, these are 10-gram bags, but just open up a bag of sunflower seeds, count out 10 uncracked or unbroken ones, because they'll be easier to sift and they'll be easier to count. I did this previously, and it's about 5 grams of seed, more or less. It's about half the amount. And then mix that in to this substrate. And now you've got a patch here. So you've got 100 seeds in here, mix it all in, put that in 2 different habitats, so you just have like 2 different micro-habitats, right? That you can compare. Leave it out for a set number of time. Just make sure you write down when you put it out, when you picked it up. Make sure it's a clear day so that the sand doesn't get wet. And then at the end of the day, take your sifter, sift that out, and then count the remaining seeds. Okay, if you started with 100 and they ate 50, you'd have 50 seeds left, and what is left is your giving up density. That's when the squirrels stop looking for more seeds. Okay. The alternative approach would be to put in 50 of the out of the shell seeds and 50 in the shell sunflower seeds, and mix those in. Do the same thing, put them out in 2 different habitats, and you now have a little bit more complex design. You're looking both at the microhabitat and you're looking at a food preference, and you can make some predictions. For example, the in the shell seeds are going to be larger and easier to find for the squirrel, but they have to get the seed out of the shell, so they have to take a little bit more effort to handle that. The out of the shell seeds will be harder to find, but once they find it, they can eat it right away. So there's some trade-offs here, and so you can find out if the squirrels are, how they're behaving in each of these 2 different circumstances. So this is a pretty inexpensive experiment to run. The advantage is you can do it in your backyard. You can watch squirrels out your window if you've got some place to put that close by. You don't have to be around other people, which right now in early April 2020 in central Wisconsin is the case, as it is around pretty much the entire world at this moment in our history. But we may find ourselves in this situation again, and this is like I said, an inexpensive way to collect a lot of data for the class and get a lot of people involved on the same project over distances. All right, so if you have any questions, drop me a line. You can find all of our team at Squirrel-Net.org. You can find our Giving Up Density publication at CourseSource. All right, happy squirreling. You can watch the squirrels out the window, and here you can see there's a squirrel on each of the two trays. You'll notice that they're tail flicking. One of the squirrels was more dominant in chasing the other squirrel around, and then the less dominant squirrel ended up on the smaller tray. But that said, both patches were utilized, and I was able to get GUD data from each of the two patches.